A fan publicly humiliates Johnny Depp. His reaction will leave you in tears. It was an evening that had been anticipated for months. The red carpet event at the Los Angeles Charity Gala was not just another celebrity-filled affair. It was an evening dedicated to supporting children's education and healthcare, causes that Johnny Depp had tirelessly supported over the years. The mood in the air was festive. The crowd buzzed with energy, and the flashing lights from cameras illuminated the faces of celebrities, including Johnny, as he made his way down the carpet. Johnny had learned over time to live in the spotlight, though it wasn't something he had ever fully embraced. His fame had always been a double-edged sword. Yes, the attention brought opportunities, but it also brought scrutiny, harsh comments, and the occasional insult. Still, tonight, Johnny's focus was on the cause. It had been years since his last big film release, and the world had changed in ways that made his presence seem almost nostalgic for some fans. He had gotten used to the questions about his career and his personal life, always maintaining an air of professionalism. His charming smile and charismatic answers had made him a favorite with the media. However, deep down, there was a feeling of unease that had settled in his chest in recent months. Critics, rumors, and the endless barrage of paparazzi attention had been taking their toll. As Johnny continued walking, he exchanged pleasantries with the media and posed for photos. He was in a good mood, despite the ever-present weight of judgment hanging around him. But something was different tonight. Something in the air felt off. He could sense the eyes of the crowd on him, some adoring, some judgmental. And it wasn't long before he spotted her, a young woman standing among the fans holding up a sign that read, "You're nothing without Jack Sparrow." Johnny's heart skipped a beat. His gaze immediately shifted to the sign. He had seen plenty of criticism about his iconic character, Captain Jack Sparrow. But this felt different. The words stung deeper than usual. He had always hoped that his fans would see him as more than just one character. But this sign, this simple, cruel message, made it clear that many still saw him through the lens of the beloved pirate. The woman seemed to be waiting for him, watching him closely. As he drew closer, the crowd roared with excitement, and Johnny forced a smile, nodding at the cheering fans. But then, the woman shouted, louder than the rest. "Hey, Johnny!" she called out. "You've been riding the fame of Jack Sparrow for too long. You're not a real actor anymore. People have forgotten about you." The words hit him like a punch to the gut. He paused for a moment, his mind racing. Johnny had heard critics say similar things before, some more harshly, some more subtly. But there was something about this particular moment that rattled him. His mind wandered back to his early years in Hollywood, when he had worked tirelessly to prove himself as more than just the quirky, unconventional actor. The success of Pirates of the Caribbean had given him global recognition, but it had also pigeonholed him in a way he could never have predicted. He had fought for years to break free from the shadow of Jack Sparrow, to prove that he was capable of portraying a range of characters. But in that moment, the words of the fan felt like a judgment on everything he had worked for. The crowd went quiet. It was a strange silence, one where people weren't sure whether they should intervene or let the moment play out. Johnny stood frozen, his eyes locked on the fan. It wasn't anger that washed over him, but something deeper, a sense of exhaustion. For a moment, he felt like he was back at square one, being judged only for his past and not for who he had become. As the silence stretched on, Johnny made a decision. He took a slow breath, closed his eyes for a fraction of a second, and then began to walk toward her. The young woman's expression changed when she saw Johnny moving toward her. She looked both surprised and defensive, as if she hadn't expected him to actually approach her. The crowd watched in anticipation, the tension building with each step Johnny took. When he finally reached her, he didn't raise his voice. Instead, he spoke softly, his words carrying an unexpected calm. "I can see you're angry. I understand your frustration," Johnny began. His voice, while steady, held a note of vulnerability that no one had expected. "But I think you've misunderstood me." The woman's arms crossed tightly over her chest, her eyes narrowing. "You've been riding on the success of one character for so long, Johnny. What happened to the real you? What happened to the actor who actually had range?" Johnny paused for a moment, taking in her words. He wasn't defensive, he wasn't angry. He simply spoke from the heart. "I'm not just Jack Sparrow," he said, his voice low but strong. "That role, that character, it changed my life in ways I never expected. But what people don't see is the years I spent working to get to where I am. The roles I've taken on, the failures, the risks. I've never been just one thing." The crowd around them remained silent, watching this unexpected interaction unfold. Johnny's words seemed to hang in the air, heavy with truth. For a brief moment, the young woman's hardened expression softened. She looked down at her sign and then back at Johnny. "I never meant to insult you," she said quietly, her voice faltering. I was angry. I felt like you had forgotten who you were." Johnny smiled gently. "We all get lost sometimes, but we don't have to stay lost. And I promise you, I haven't forgotten who I am. I've just been trying to find new ways to grow." There was a long pause, the crowd still hushed. Johnny's words had a calming effect on the young woman, and she slowly lowered her sign. Tears began to well in her eyes as the weight of her own actions seemed to hit her. The young woman, overcome with emotion, took a step back, her hand trembling as she wiped away a tear. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice breaking. "I shouldn't have said those things. I was just frustrated with my own life. You're not the problem." Johnny reached out, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "It's all right," he said. "We all have our moments. It's how we deal with them that matters." As she nodded, a look of gratitude filled her eyes. For a brief second, their gazes locked, and Johnny felt something shift in him. It was a reminder that sometimes, even the harshest words came from a place of hurt. In that moment, he had not only addressed her criticism, but also helped heal something within her. The cameras continued to flash, but the real story wasn't about Johnny's fame or his reaction to a fan. It was about the connection they had made, about two people from very different worlds coming together in a moment of understanding. As the night went on, Johnny felt a sense of peace settle over him. He had been publicly humiliated, yes, but instead of responding with anger or frustration, he had chosen to respond with compassion and empathy. When he later received a heartfelt message from the fan, thanking him for his kindness and explaining how his words had touched her deeply, Johnny felt something rare, a profound sense of fulfillment. This wasn't about fame, awards, or accolades. This was about connecting with someone on a human level, about making a difference in someone's life when they least expected it. And for Johnny Depp, that was a victory far greater than anything the public could ever give him.